Okay, so as you can see, I have a lawn tractor. It's a John Deere E140. They change their models pretty much every year. I think the current line is, there's an S140. Last year I think it was D's. This is 2 years old. And I need to do what I'd consider my yearly maintenance. Now if you read the owner's manual, it'll tell you based on however many hours of usage, it's either 40 or 50 hours. And I don't want to dissuade anyone from doing it by the book. That's the way it should be. For me, I put 50 to 60 hours on a year, so it just makes sense to do it in the spring, get it done, and then I'm good for the year and I do it next spring. So normally I would buy bits and pieces, try to get the best deal for any of the filters, any of that kind of stuff. John Deere actually has a home maintenance kit that comes with, I think it's worth it. So I get 2 quarts of oil, which anymore is like $6 or $7 a quart. I get the oil filter, which is about $10 or so if you buy it online. Get the air filter. I get 2 new spark plugs, and I get a fuel filter. So I think it's probably a pretty good idea. This way it's all John Deere official equipment, and I don't have to go hunting for everything. The other thing is my blades are a little dull. Normally I'd sharpen them every year, but I only have one set for this one, so I bought a new set of blades, so I'm going to put the blades on as well. So we'll take the deck off and replace the blades, and then I'll have a set to sharpen for next time, and we'll do all the different maintenance we've got here. So that's what's on the agenda. Okay, we'll start with the easiest thing first. The air filter is ridiculously easy. You just unscrew these 2 bolts. And there's the old air filter. Doesn't look terrible, but I mean, it's got a lot of garbage in it, so just pop it off, get it centered on there, and hold on. There we go. A little snug, but that way you know it's not going to be moving around. So. Step 1's done. Okay, fuel filter is what I'm going to do next. That's this guy right here. It is directional, so you want to make sure you put the new one on pointing the same way. And there's just a couple clips on the top and the bottom of this guy that you should be able to wiggle off. Get the hose off of it. No, it goes back further than that. So one thing to know is you put the gas on you when you do this. There we go. So that one's off. And you want to hold these up so they don't spew gas all over the place. Likewise with this guy. gas all over again. Get that connected again. Beautiful. And then we'll put the clamps back. So now we're getting into the even more nasty part. So doing the oil change, you notice I turned the wheel like I was making a left turn. That gives me more room to put my oil pan in there. This guy right here is my oil drain, and it has a cap on it. So you turn it to the right and pull it out, and it will drain. I'm going to open that guy up so it has some airflow, and it'll take a while. Once that's completely done, then we'll go to the other side of the tractor and take the oil filter off. Move the oil pan over there, obviously, and take the oil filter off. And then we'll reverse the process. Put the oil filter on, and then put the cap back on this, and put the oil in. So, I'll be back. It's been maybe 10 minutes. You can see it's all but stopped. It's just a slight little drip. So I'm just going to put these guys in. You can see the dimple on there. Put it in, turn it to the right. That seals that up. And we'll go to the other side. So now we got the filter, which if I have any complaint, it would be they don't seem to put these things in the easiest to get to area. So I'm wiping that off as best I can, see if I can get a grip on it. Yep, okay, no problem. Turn it off to the left, spin it off, and I'm just going to put that right down the oil pan. But you can see I got oil all over the frame. It's just the way it is. There's no, it's not meant to go anywhere else. So, I'll get it as good as I can. Anyway. Putting it back on is easy. Now, the book will tell you to make sure you use clean oil for this. I've never had a problem with this, but I just get my finger dipped in the old oil and go around the gasket, because you want that to seal good when you put it back on. So get that started in the thread. And by the way, you should have some good hand cleaner. Dial or soft soap's not going to cut it for this. You have to have something decent. And it's slippery. Okay. Yeah. Lets me get it a little bit better. Just hand tighten it, but strongly hand tighten it. Alright, the filter's on. Now we'll put the oil in. So they give you 2 quarts of oil. That is the capacity of this engine. Always a little leery when you're draining out the old that you didn't get everything. What I would normally do is put in, say, 1.5 quarts, maybe 1 3/4 quarts, and then run it a little bit and check it and see how your level is. So we know we want this guy in. If you need a funnel, there's no shame in that. Just slow and steady. If you go too fast, it'll back up on you. And that's not going to work if you do that. So. Okay, that guy's done. And like I said, maybe we'll do 3/4. Yeah, spilled a little. Oh well. Just a drip. Enough to make it stink when it's running. It's always easier to put more in. So I'm showing 10 ounces left, a little bit more. Okay, that's right around 8. I'm going to stop there. I'll run it a while and then we'll check the level. So you know, if you didn't already know, there's 2 dots on the dipstick, very close together. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. But so obviously that's your range. So you want to be somewhere in there. Probably. Well, maybe it won't show yet. Oh yeah, comes up to right about there. So I guess we're okay to put some more in. Obviously don't want to run it too low. Alright, that's good enough. Save a little bit in the in the jar here. And that should be good. I tend to check it every time I run it. When I mow, it takes about 3 hours or so. So it's always good to check your oil before you start. Worst thing you can do to an engine is run it dry. So alright, spark plugs are next. Last piece of the maintenance kit is the spark plugs. So this is a twin cylinder. For all you rocket scientists out there, that means there's 2 spark plugs. So you just take the wire off, and I believe it's 5/8 for these. So if I just slip that guy on there, it comes off nice and easy. I don't even need the ratchet. Oh, shoot. There we go. So there's some charcoal around it. It looks reasonably clean, but it's time to replace it. So I got the new one, so I might as well put it in there. So you want to check the gap on your spark plugs. This tool lets you do that. These are supposed to be 0.03 inches. So you just line it up where it says 0.03 and you slide it in there, and it fits nice and snug, just the way it should. If it wasn't big enough, you go smaller and you bend it a little bit, so you bend the outside piece to make the gap wider. But we're right on. So put that guy in and get it started. Okay, snagged up, and just again You don't want to over tighten, but you want to make sure it's good and snug. And then put the wire back on. Alright, same on the other side. Okay, so again, here's our spark plug wire here. Switch my ratchet back. Go. Again, that's a little dirty. Not too bad though. So again, we check the gap. 0.03. A little snug, but yep, fits right in there. Okay. And that officially ends the maintenance kit part of the show. We still need to do the deck. I did look in the book. It does recommend the maintenance, what we just did, every 50 hours of use. Like I said, I'm at 120 hours now on this. I've had it 2 years. So it just makes sense for me to do it every spring. But however you want to do that. All right. Next, we'll take a look at the deck. Okay, I forgot one small detail. I think we ought to make sure it works. So, I put on the parking brake, I pull in the clutch. Fully functional. Now to the deck. Alright, there's two things on the back here. So first of all, we lowered the deck all the way down. They say to block it up, and you can if that helps you. I'm not going to do that, but it might mean lifting it a little bit when I'm doing this. So you've got a couple pins down here. You've got this guy, if you can see that. Take this out and pull this rod off. And then there's this guy here, you take that out and take that off. So you do that on both sides. And then there's one little pin in the front, right there. You take that off. And then you have to roll the deck forward and take the belt off the pulley. And then you should be able to just slide it right out the side of the tractor. I say that like it's easy because it's not. It's heavy and it's a pain. But anyway. If you're going to drive it without the deck, then you actually want to take this guy off too. Otherwise that'll be hanging down and get poked into something and maybe cause some problems. So if I'm just taking the deck off, cleaning it out, putting new blades on, putting it back, I don't care. But if I was driving it without it, I would care. So, alright, that's what we're going to do. We'll do that, pull the deck out, and then work on the blades. There's that. Alright. Nice and dirty. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to work at cleaning this up a little bit, and then we'll flip it over, clean up the bottom before we put the new blades on. Okay, so I broke up the stuff that was stuck to the bottom. I'll get rid of it when I flip it back over. The nuts on the bottom here are 15/16. So I have a closed-in wrench for that. You can use a socket if you have it, or a breaker bar, however you want to do it. So that fits on there just fine. You need something to block the blade because it'll just keep spinning as you're trying to loosen it. So I may or may not have to hit these. Yeah, they're on pretty solid. So I'm going to use a hammer. Well, shoot. See that moved, and now I can turn it. Mercy. They get on there pretty tight. And good to go. So get the bolt or the nut itself. There's a large washer on here. Some grass and gunk caked in there. The blade itself has the star pattern on it. So when you put it in, that'll hold the blade. You want to make sure that the cutting surface is up, or would be closer to the ground. So I set that in there. Put the washer back. Nut back on, and now reverse the block. So now it needs to be on the other side. Okay, that one's done. The block will be on this side to take it off. Mercy. Again, cleaning surface up. And that had some nasty grass stuff on there, so anyway. Nope, not quite yet. Well, knocked it out of the park. There we go. Switch the block. All right, done and done. All right, so there's no major nicks. Couple little things in the old blades, not at all sharp, but I'll sharpen those when I get ready to use them again, and there's nothing that keeps us from using those next time. So, alright, next we'll be putting it on and making sure it works. So one thing I forgot to talk about before was greasing. So you don't often see me with gloves on, but this is a particularly nasty thing to do, so I wear gloves for this. So there's lubrication points on the deck and also on the front axle of the mower. So on each of the spindles, that's the three that actually turn the blades, there's a grease fitting here. So let me see if I can get to it. Push it on, give it a good pump. Should do. Unfortunately, you can't really see. On the axle, we should be able to see the extra grease coming out. Right. Okay. And then this one, they don't exactly make them easy to get to, accessible. Alright, let's go over to the axle. Okay, you'll see the fitting right here in front. Just push it on good. Yeah, I can see the grease come out down below. That's a good thing. That means I filled it all up and it's any extras coming out, so don't worry about it, although you don't want to do it in a place where that's going to be a problem. Okay, I see it coming out there too. Alright, good with the grease. I'm going to put the deck on it and we'll show that it cuts good, and then we're done. One last thing is ear protection. So obviously not a requirement, but for some of you, you'd rather not hear the mower for however long you have to mow. Like I said, I mow 3 or 4 hours, well, 3 hours a week. So there's several different good ear protectors you can get. These are Bluetooth, so I can listen to XM radio or audiobooks or whatever on my phone while I'm going around and not have the constant noise of the tractor. So just throwing that out there. And if the cat will move, we'll see if it cuts. And that'll do it.